Today I'm going to talk about the blossom filling that you find in both Bedfordshire and Honiton laces, and the two ways of actually working them. This one is the Bedfordshire version and has 5 pinholes with a pinhole in the middle of the picots, and the Honiton version, or the Honiton way of working it, only has 4 picots, and it's the method of working that gives the hole in the centre of the blossom. I've just set up the blossom ground in the Bedfordshire grid, where you've got 5 pinholes, one in the centre, one at 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock. When you're making the ground, the right hand plait you make as long as the first picot at 12 o'clock, and the left hand plait you make as long as the pinhole in the centre of the 5 pinholes. So we start with the right hand plait and we do a picot on the left hand pair of bobbins and place it in the pinhole at 12 o'clock, and that's a left hand picot on the right hand plait. We then do a half stitch and do the right hand picot on the same plait in the pinhole at 3 o'clock. Do a half stitch to cover it. We then take the left hand plait and do a windmill crossing, which is a cloth stitch using each pair as if there were a single bobbin, and put the pin in the centre of it. All the picots are done on the right hand plait, which is coming diagonally from the right through to the left. The left hand plait doesn't do any of the work. We then do a half stitch and we're going to do a right hand picot in pin 6, or the pin at 6 o'clock should I say. So when you actually look at the direction that the pinholes are worked in this ground, you're working them in a clockwise direction, and I do a half stitch to cover it and then do the pinhole at 9 o'clock. This makes it slightly easier to remember the order if you imagine you're starting at 12 o'clock and working around the clock face. And then continue into your plaits, and I will just show you what happens at the side because that is slightly different. This is where you don't work them in quite the same order as you do in the ground itself. So again, I make the plait as long as it needs to go to the first pinhole and work the pinhole at 12 o'clock. Now however, I'm not going to work pinhole at 3 o'clock, I'm going to take it into the foot side. So cross stitch through, put your twists on your workers and put the pin up, and then cover the pin with a cloth stitch because the worker is then going back out to the outside edge. We then do a half stitch to cover, and then we put the twist on and do the pin at 3 o'clock. And then a half stitch and the pinhole at 6 o'clock. And on the opposite side you still work the top pinhole first, then into the foot side and then back out, and then that goes straight back into the ground. So on the other side of the join, as I say, top one, join it on the foot side, back out to do the horizontal position, and then the last one at 6 o'clock. So that is the only difference on the actual ground. The rest are worked in a clockwise direction. The second method of working the blossom filling is known as the Honiton method, or the Honiton blossom method. This is worked around 4 pins, not 5 as the Bedfordshire one is, and it's a slightly different sequence of working as well. First of all, I've made the plaits to the length required. This one is maybe a little bit short, I could do another half stitch on there. better. And we start with the left hand plait and do a right hand picot full pin at 12 o'clock. This is worked in a slightly different sequence. We work pin at 12 o'clock, pin at 3 o'clock, followed by 9 o'clock and then 6. So you're going in a different sequence as well. So work the right hand picot for the first one and cover it with a cloth stitch. We then bring the right hand plait in and we cloth stitch the middle 2 pairs together and also put 1 twist on. We then cloth stitch the right hand 2 pairs and we're going to do a right hand picot at the 3 o'clock pin. And again tension it up as we go, and then we work a cloth stitch to cover it. Then go to the left side and cloth stitch those 2 together and work a left hand picot for pin at 9 o'clock. Cover it with a cloth stitch, twist the centre 2 pairs and cloth stitch them together. Cloth stitch the right hand 2 pairs and work a left hand picot on the right hand plait for the pin at 6 o'clock. They are then ready to go back into the ground. Now I'll just show you what happens at the edge of the ground area where it joins the footside trail. And it's worked in the same manner but obviously reversed on the right hand side. I'll just show you the left in this video and hopefully be able to work it out from there. We're going to work the pin at 12 o'clock first as usual and cloth stitch it to cover it. And we'll also put a twist on there. The left hand pair is now joining with the worker from the foot side with a cloth stitch and twist. And tension up and cloth stitch and twist to cover. It then cloth stitches back to the right and works the right hand picot. You can also put a twist on the left hand one to try and get this nice hole that you get without the pin. Cloth stitch to cover and then you work the left hand picot before going back into the plait. And that's the join at the side. You're only joining 1 pair with the worker from the foot side and then continuing. And the idea is to make it try and look like the actual ground. So these are the 2 finished samples side by side. The left hand one has the blossom worked in the Bedfordshire manner with the 5 pinholes, and it's quite an easy one to work. The right hand one is the Honiton version, which involves a lot more stitches but does give quite a nice distinct hole in the centre. It's very much personal choice which you work. You can interchange both of these, and if your pattern has 4 holes, put an extra one in the centre if you really want to work the Bedfordshire method, or ignore the centre one if it's a Honiton version in a Bedfordshire pattern to work it in this manner. It's, as I say, it's personal choice. The other thing to note is even though these are worked on exactly the same grid, a 45-degree angle grid, the angle of the resulting plaits is slightly different. So this may influence your decision as to which version to work as well, depending on the style of the pattern, how you want it to look. This is much more acute angle and this is more in the 45-degree grid. Depends which is in keeping with the style and design of the lace. I hope you've enjoyed that explanation of how to work the two different versions of Blossom Ground. If you have, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel to hear lots more videos coming soon. I've got so many planned, it's just finding time to film them all. Hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.